Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Joey. And good morning and welcome to Interfaith Community Sanctuary. This is our fourth Sunday in May, and I'm really pleased to have you all here in person, and for those of you who may be on Zoom in cyberspace. And I thank you for being with us as we look today to further our knowledge of and to deepen our commitment to our discernment for this year, which is making a home for the mystic heart. And like every month this year, each month we choose a theme, or we choose a, well, you might even call it a tool to help us build our home for the mystic heart. And so today, we're looking at our relationship with our ancestors in order to do that. But before we get started, we have a tradition here at Interfaith Community Sanctuary to appropriately honor our ancestors and welcome in our ancestors, and to acknowledge our first peoples. And to do that this morning, Steve Kramer has agreed to do so. Bring that up. Do you want another mic, or just take this one? I have been advised that, unlike Jamal, who's dutiful in this regard, I did not bring us in. So I shall do that more clear. So consider us convened. Okay.
We would like to welcome those ancestors who wish to join us in our communal celebration today, especially those who are near and dear to our hearts, those of this place and those of this land. Dearest ancestors, we approach you with respect and reverence. We are grateful for any guidance, knowledge, and teachings you share in the name of loving support as we navigate through these challenging times we find ourselves in. Help us make choices which benefit the next 7 generations who are yet to come. We ask that you bless us with the ability to connect with the spirit of this land, the animals, the plants, and all creation, for they are our ancestors as well. We ask for your blessing as we walk the path of healing and growth. So be it. We wish to acknowledge the land we occupy is the traditional, ancestral, unceded territory of the coastal Salish people, in particular, the Muckleshoot, Duwamish, and Suquamish tribes. We are grateful to them as the past, present, and future caretakers of this beautiful land, which we do not own, but which we call home. We are grateful for the land itself, the home of Douglas fir, salmon, deer, and all those beings who were here long before us and our kin. We apologize to them all for any injustice enacted upon them. We must also recognize those Black, brown, Asian, and indigenous peoples who helped build this country, but were often enslaved, exploited, or unpaid, and continue to face racism and discrimination. They require liberation and reparation in the name of healing, equity, and justice. We pray, one day, may we see ourselves as one and treat all beings as our sisters and brothers. So be it.
Thank you, Steve. And now another of our traditional offerings is an offering to the Divine Feminine, and Debbie has so kindly volunteered to do so today.
Good morning. So this is a reading from a little selection that someone compiled, and I don't know who wrote it, so maybe one of you know and can let us know. But it struck me. The title is Mother of God, She Who Hears the Cries of the World. Mother of mercy, the cries of the world keep me awake at night. I rise from my bed, but I cannot locate the source of the wailing. It is everywhere, Mother, coming from all directions, and my heart is shattered by the sheer intensity of suffering. You, of boundless compassion, expand my heart so that I can contain the pain. I focus my mind so that I can arrive at viable solutions, and energize my body so that I can engage in effective action. Give me the courage to follow the crumbs of heartbreak all the way home to the place where I can be of real service. Let me dip my fingers into the dew of your compassion and scatter it now over the fevered brow of this world.
Thank you, Debbie. So this morning, we're going to be looking at our ancestors and, as spiritual companions, how they not only bring us comfort and strength and joy and peace, but also how they may sustain us as we go forward trying to make that mystic heart home, and also to ultimately experience that unity with the divine. But this morning, I also want to kind of build on the theme that Steve introduced today and look at what do we mean by our ancestors? Because I've done what Steve's done, and I've given an offering to the invited in our ancestors. And typically, I invite in those people who are my direct lineage, who are blood relatives, and perhaps relationships with mentors or teachers or whatever. But today I'd like us to continue to consider a different way of looking at it. And as is my wont, I like to have other people speak for me. So I'm going to start with a lovely reading from this book by Richard Wagamese called Embers, One Ojibwe's Meditations. It's a delightful little book. But apropos to our conversation this morning, he says, I've been considering the phrase, all my relations, for some time now. It is hugely important. It is our saving grace in the end. It points to the truth that we are all related, that we are all connected, that we all belong to each other. The most important word is all. Not just those who look like me, sing like me, dance like me, speak like me, pray like me, or behave like me. All my relations. That means every person, just as it means every rock, mineral, blade of grass, and creature. We live because everything else does. If we were to choose collectively to live that teaching, the energy of our change of consciousness would heal each of us and heal the planet. So, as Wagami says, we're all connected. It's clear and obvious we come from our parents, but our parents and their parents and all the relatives behind them, they drank the water, they breathed the air, they ate the foods, they used the resources of the planet to build the shelters. And so all of that made them who they are. So when we give thanks to our ancestors, it's only fitting that we give thanks to that, to everything that sustains them. And the same is true with us. You know, we breathe the air. We eat other animals and plants. We drink the water. And we use the materials of the earth to build our shelters as well. And that sustains us and lets us live long enough to be where we're at today, which is to be healthy and fit enough to be sitting here and considering making a home for our mystic heart and looking at our whole spiritual journey. And the truth is that virtually every living being depends on another living being. Being alive presupposes that something else is alive on our earth. So we really can't realistically take the image we have of our ancestors and separate them from that which made and sustained them. So we could probably see our ancestors as drawing from the totality of the earth and seeing earth basically as mother. And on that theme, I'd like to share more than a little bit from another book, which I've really enjoyed. And it's by Thich Nhat Hanh. I don't know how many of you are familiar with him, a Buddhist monk, a prolific writer. And he has this lovely book called Love Letters to the Earth. And I'd like to read from, and in particular, there's a number of different chapters, but in chapter 10, chapter 6 rather, there are 10 letters thanking Mother Earth. And I'd like to start off today with reading from the first of them. And it's beloved Mother of all things. And he says, Dear Mother Earth, I bow my head before you as I look deeply and recognize that you are present in me and that I am part of you. I was born from you, and you are always present, offering me everything I need for my nourishment and growth. My mother, my father, and all my ancestors are also your children. We breathe your fresh air, we drink your clear water. We eat your nourishing food, your herbs heal us when we are sick. You are the mother of all beings. I call you by your human name, Mother, and yet I know your mothering nature is more than that. It is ancient, more ancient than humankind. We are just one young species of your many children. All the millions of other species who live or have lived on Earth are also your children. You aren't a person, but I know that you are not less than a person either. You are a living, breathing being in the form of a planet. Each species has its own language, yet as our mother, you can understand us all. And that is why you can hear me today as I open my heart to you and offer you my prayer. Dear Mother, wherever there is soil, water, rock, or air, you are there, nourishing me and giving me life. You are present in every cell of my body. My physical body is your physical body. And just as the sun and stars are present in you, they are also present in me. You are not outside of me, and I am not outside of you. You are more than just my environment. You are nothing less than myself. And he goes on to say, each of us carries within ourselves the seed of awakening, the ability to live in harmony with our deepest wisdom, the wisdom of interbeing. We use that word inter a lot around here. We use interfaith. Thich Nhat Hanh chose interbeing, according to him, this is his words, because we cannot be by ourselves alone. To be is to interbe. If we combine the prefix inter with the verb to be, we have a new verb, interbe. We inter-are with one another and with all of life. So perhaps we can use a term like interbeing. We may even know what it means. But yet, oftentimes when we act as if we're separate, as if we're apart. And we're far from embodying what Thich Nhat Hanh is calling interbeing. We feel as if we have superiority over plants and animals. And for us in the West, that may have begun when we took to heart what was said in the first chapter of Genesis, where human beings were given, quote, dominion over the plants and animals, and told to fill the earth and subdue it. From an anthropocentric perspective, humankind tends to see itself as separate and to use animals, plants, minerals, etc., as simply resources to be used. But we just heard from Thich Nhat Hanh when he said, "We are just one young species of your many children." So if that is true, how can we close that separateness? How can we experience interbeing? How can we reconnect with the multiplicity and diversity of our many siblings, Mother Earth's many children? So I'm thinking this morning that maybe we can just start by connecting with just one. So if you're comfortable with this, I'd like to join me in a brief mindfulness exercise. If you're not, then I just ask that you sit quietly for 5 minutes and relax and then chill. So if you will, just close your eyes now. And I'd like for you to imagine in your awareness that you're some other life form other than human. For the next 5 minutes or so, you are not this body. You could be another animal. The options obviously are many. I was thinking one could be a mayfly, tiny and lives but for one day. Or a bowhead whale, huge, and on average lives for more than 200 years, underwater, surfacing every 20 minutes or so to breathe. Or maybe you're more comfortable with some animal you know or household pet. Or perhaps you could be a plant, a daylily flower with the lifespan that its name suggests. Or a bristlecone pine that watches generation come and go for thousands of years. Whatever you choose, try not to picture it so much as to be it. Often when we imagine the experiences of simpler life forms, we often visualize a scaled-down version of ourselves. I'm asking you to try not to do that. I'm asking you to be the form that you have chosen. Contemplate its qualities, its advantages, its limitations. So I'll start the timer now. Start by simply saying to yourself, I am not this body. Then try to identify in whatever way you can to identify with the form you've chosen. Try to become intimate with it. I am not this body. Thank you, Steve. We're going to change gears now and talk about sharing our wealth. So we have to have a sharing of our wealth for a number of reasons. One is we need to collect money to keep this gorgeous facility where it is so it doesn't crumble beneath our feet, which it requires constant, tender, loving care. And sadly, most of that tender, loving care comes at a cost, as Sally Jo will tell you. So Joey, if you wouldn't mind passing that around. But we also share our wealth in other ways as well. And one of the ways that I always appreciate is the fact that people show up here. Your time and your presence is a real wealth, and it's one that I certainly don't take lightly, and I enjoy it. And also we share our wealth by meeting with others. We have a number of different gatherings that we have here. And people take their time and energy to set up meetings and that you can all join, and they're all available on the website. Well, most of them are available on the website. But I want to touch upon today some of the upcoming gatherings we have this week. And some of our gatherings are going to start today. The first gathering we're going to have is after this service. We're going to meet downstairs and we'll get together for coffee, tea, and some snacks, whatever. And also, we'll have an opportunity to properly wish Sally Jo a happy birthday. For today is Sally Jo's birthday. And then following that, Joey Klein is going to give us a chance to roll up our sleeves and get intimately acquainted with all the plantings she's done outside. So maybe, Joey, you could talk a minute about that?
Good morning. So I have been entrusted with caring for this land that we have been given. And it is definitely a labor of love. And I've asked the congregation for some help. Today, we are going to get our hands dirty and dig in and take care of this land. I really take this as a sacred trust. You know, this has been here for a long time. There are elements of this landscape that our ancestors planted, and we have inherited it, and it is our responsibility now to care for it, and so that it is here for future generations. So I really look forward to getting down and dirty with you guys out in the garden. Before we, so that's kind of the spiritual aspect of it. But there's a practical aspect too. So before we dig in, I have purchased food for all of our workers so that you can get strength and be ready to go out there. So there will be food downstairs for you. And I hope that you'll imbibe in that. There'll also be water and drinks and such throughout the day, so you can stay hydrated. And fortunately, I think the weather is going to be with us. I think the rain is out of the way, so thumbs up on that. And finally, it's Memorial Weekend. And so I'm grateful to those of you who have decided to pitch in and roll up your sleeves on this weekend rather than doing something else, you know, fun, so to speak. This to me is fun, but not everybody else thinks so. So thank you very much in advance for your time. And I would like to, as I said, this is Memorial Weekend, I would like to actually dedicate our time today to someone who's no longer with us, who used to tend the gardens. I'm sure there were many other people in the past. I don't know them, but I know this gentleman, and it's David Jenkins. So this goes to you, David. Wherever you are, we are tending the garden that you once tended. Thank you.
Thank you, Joey. So I'm just going to briefly go over the gatherings we have coming up this week, just so you can be mindful of them. So tomorrow night, Monday, is the Remembrance in the Heart of Rumi.
Actually, it's not.
It's not.
We take off Memorial Day. But the Monday after that and many Mondays following, there will be Levy Zikr gathering here. Sorry.
See, this is a tradition that I have, is to screw this up every single time I'm here. Anyway, it's what I do. It's what I do. Practice, practice, practice. I don't know if you heard that out there in Zoom land, but we're not having Zikr this Monday night. It's going to be the following Monday night. So, unless I stand corrected, on Tuesday night we have several meetings on Zoom. The Sisiwas Women's Medicine Circle meets at 6:30 on Zoom. A Course in Miracles meets at 7 p.m. this week on Zoom. And at 7:30, also on Tuesday, is an exploration of Rumi's Mathnawi on Zoom as well. On Wednesday, there is another exploration of Rumi's Mathnawi. It's a different book. I think it's book 2 and book 1. And by the way, with that, it's the kind of book where you might have to do a little catching up, but you really can join at any time. It's not like you have to come in the beginning of the reading in order to be able to understand and appreciate what's being read and what's being shared. So just feel free to jump in anytime. I'm speaking for Michael here, but I think that's true. On Thursday, we have Sitting in Silence here at 7 p.m., and that's simply a time of stillness, contemplation, prayer, meditation, whatever you want to bring to it. And that's in person here at the sanctuary, Thursdays at 7. On Friday afternoons at 1:30 are prayers in the Islamic tradition, and I think it's on Zoom only. And that brings us to next weekend. Next Sunday will be our guest speaker service. And we are pleased to have Kieran Franklin as our guest speaker.
No, actually, that's the week after this Saturday, this Sunday, will be Wajid Galen.
And that was not your mistake, that was a mistake.
Yeah, we screwed that one up. We decided to do one for you.
I rarely make mistakes in this particular case. So, Rich, please come up and tell us then what our guest speaker is going to be doing next Sunday.
So Rich is the head of the guest speakers, but we all try to help out a little bit here and there. And next Sunday will be Wajid Gillian here as our guest speaker, and he has been a Sufi for years and years and years, and he runs a small Thursday night group here. And he'll be coming to speak to us about his experience. And I believe what our next month is transformation. So,
Our highest ideals.
what's that?
It's our highest ideal.
Highest ideal, transformation. Yeah, so he'll be speaking on that. We hope you'll be here and join us for that.
Well, that means that the program is also wrong. So me, like Rick in Casablanca, I've been misinformed. Yeah. I don't know how we got that one so wrong. This really should be a pretty simple process, but you wouldn't think it from the way I butcher it. But I also want to point out, and I think this is right, that next Sunday, following our guest speaker meeting, our service, will be our guiding council meeting. Okay? Because I'm going to be there for that, so it better be there. And our guest and our guiding council is really the decision-making circle for all of our practical and spiritual matters in this community. And we not only would enjoy your presence, we frankly need your presence. This is an organization that runs on volunteers. It runs on the imagination, the energy, and the willingness of its members. And we need to hear your voice. We need to know where you feel the direction of this beautiful enterprise is going. So please join us right after the service, well, a little bit after. We'll give it time to have coffee and tea. So we usually end about 11:15, 11:30 or so. And then about 11:45-ish, we'll start the guiding council meeting. So please make an effort to be there. Okay, so getting back to our theme for today, getting in with our ancestors. I was reminded, as I was thinking about this, I think it was last month, I mentioned about this biosphere that is in Arizona, down by Tucson, Arizona. Lovely place. If you ever get a chance to visit, it's pretty bizarre in some ways. But anyway, it is a man-made, closed ecological system. And, quite frankly, our Earth is also a biosphere. It is a closed ecological system. Man-made, true, but is nonetheless a closed ecological system. What we have here is basically what we have here, with the possible exception of maybe sunlight and meteors. What comes around goes around. This is it. Well, this is what we have to work with. This is all we have and all we'll ever have. And as I was pondering that, I ran across the most bizarre thing, and I want to share that with you because I think you're liberal-minded folks who will enjoy this. I came across in a couple of places, and I'll share this. There's a Dr. Reveille, R-E-V-I-L-L-E, from the University College in Cork, Ireland. And he gives this very curious and arresting notion to ponder. He reports that there have been numerous statistical studies that show that with every breath we take, the breath we just took, we drew molecules of air into our lungs that may well have been inside the lungs of Jesus. The theory is there is only so much air in the atmosphere. So as we breathe it in and out, it gets all mixed around over time. We literally have a limited amount of air to share. In fact, he says, it's even more likely that you have breathed the air of Gautama Buddha, since he lived longer. And Dr. Martin Maurice, who's the professor of structural biology and enzymology at Marquette University, he puts the same concept in a different way. He says, it is certainly possible to imagine a scenario where you breathe in a molecule of oxygen gas into one of your billions of cells. It gets combined with carbon from the last night's cupcake that you ate, and you make carbon dioxide as you exhale. Your exhaled molecule of carbon dioxide is taken up by a young oak tree with the help of sunlight. The carbon gets converted into molecules of cellulose that gets locked into the tree's biomass for years. Eventually, over hundreds of years, that tree will grow die, and decompose. As it decomposes, that atom of carbon is released back into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide and is used to generate oxygen through photosynthesis. That newly formed molecule of oxygen might be available to your great-grandchild. So these are maybe kind of bizarre examples, but I think they're interesting examples. But to quote again, I think one thing that these scientists all agree upon, again, this is quoting Dr. Maurice, every breath you take, every bite you swallow, has at one time or another been associated with another living organism. We literally are part of each other's lives. So based upon that, we can conclude that all the Mother Earth's participants, our animals, our plants, our minerals, they too are our spiritual companions. They too can sustain us as we build our home for the mystic heart and as we journey to have that unity with the divine. In her book, Braiding Sweetgrass, Robin Will Kilmer, a member of the Potawatomi Nation, tells us, in some native languages, the term for plant translates to those who take care of us. The land is the real teacher. We all need to be students. We need to be mindful. We need to be paying attention. Paying attention is a form of reciprocity. Paying attention is a form of reciprocity with a living world, receiving the gifts with open eyes and open heart. So I like that line, paying attention to the living world, receiving its gifts with open eyes and open hearts. In Japan, there is a practice called shirin-yoku, or forest bathing. It began in the 1980s, and a forest bath is just exactly what it sounds like. It's letting your mind take in the sounds, the smells, the tastes, the feel of nature, and let it wash over you and clear your mind. It has both therapeutic relaxation elements, and it also can become a form of meditation. And interestingly enough, in Japan, you can actually go to your doctor and get a prescription for it. That's kind of interesting. But forest bathing is not just for wilderness lovers. It's a practice. Whenever we walk in any kind of nature, we can just walk in the park, we can walk down a tree-lined street. The point is that you walk slowly, take your time, be mindful, take in all the things they talked about in that forest bathing. The smells, the tastes, the sights, what you feel. So I want to read again from this beautiful book of Thich Nhat Hanh's Love Letters to the Earth. He says, walking in mindfulness, I can express my love, respect, and care for you, our precious earth. I will touch the truth that mind and body are not two separate entities. I will train myself to look deeply to see your true nature. I want to walk gently with steps of love and with great respect. I shall walk with my own body and my mind united in oneness. I know I can walk in such a way that every step is a pleasure, every step is nourishing, every step is healing. I can take refuge in you. As I walk, sit, and breathe, I can surrender myself to you, trust wholly in you, and allow you to heal me. I know I don't have to do anything at all. I can simply relax, release all the tension in my body, all the fears and worries in my mind, whether I am sitting, walking, lying down, or standing. I allow myself to take refuge in you and allow myself to be held and be healed by you. I entrust myself to you, Mother Earth. Each one of us needs a place of refuge, but we may not know how to find it or how to get there. Looking deeply today, I can see that my true home, my true place of refuge is in you, my beloved planet. I take refuge in you, Mother Earth. I do not have to go anywhere to find you. You are already in me, and I am already in you. Dear Mother, each time I sit in stillness on your earth, I will be aware that because you are in me, I can embody your wonderful qualities of solidity, perseverance, patience, and forbearance, endurance, and stability, of great courage, non-fear, and inexhaustible creativity. I vow to practice wholeheartedly to realize these qualities, knowing that you have already sown the potential seeds in the soil of my heart and mind. So we can go and find ourselves a forest to wander around in, to bathe in. Or we can take ourselves to a forest in our own minds, in our own vivid imaginations. And today, again, our good brother Steve Kramer is going to lead us in a meditation, speaking to a sacred connection with Mother Earth. Take it away, Steve.
There are times when I feel flustered and uprooted, moments when I am living in my monkey mind and my emotions rather than feeling centered, and I let these emotions and thoughts get the best of me. These are times when it's important for me to take a pause. I would like to invite you to join me in a grounding exercise. If you are not familiar with grounding, it's a centering experience, often involving imagery, which helps one connect with the present moment by focusing attention on the physical world around us. Brother Jamal sometimes leads us through an experience where we envision a silver or gold cord coming down from our heart through our feet and bodies and deep into the core of the earth. When we feel grounded, we can live from a place of peacefulness and stability. We can weather storms with greater ease without feeling toppled over. I will lead us through an extended experience of grounding, then share more on the flip side. For those of you sitting in a chair, it helps to uncross your legs and place your feet flat on the floor if you're comfortable doing so. And please make yourself comfortable though. And please close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and out. Listen to the sounds outside this room. Listen to the sounds within this room. Listen to the sounds of your own breathing. Picture yourself standing by a favorite tree who supports you. If you do not have one in mind, ask our dear Earth Mother to provide you with a spirit tree for this meditation, for she will. All you need do is ask. Even if you cannot picture a tree with your mind's eye, know that she is there, for you can trust our dear Earth Mother to gift you with one. As you stand by your friend, allow Mother Earth to hold you and drain all your worries away, down through your legs, down to your feet, then out the bottoms of your feet into the earth, where Earth Mother can receive them. Remember to breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in and out. Feel your tree friend's presence at your side, her strength, her roots, her deep sacred connection with Mother Earth. Feel her strong trunk as she reaches up to embrace Father Sun, to bask in the warmth of his light. Feel her branches dancing gently with the touch of Brother Wind. Feel her fresh green leaves soaking up oxygen from the air. Feel her slow sense of time with the cycle of day as well as night, which is blessed by luminous Grandmother Moon. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel her deep connection with the circle of the year as she moves from one season to the next to the next. Most of all, feel her compassion for you, for her love is without bounds. Breathe in her love, nurturance, and oxygen. In exchange, breathe out gratitude, love, and carbon dioxide for her, which she then breathes in a lovely sharing back and forth. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in and out. Feel how deeply rooted your tree companion is with our beloved Earth Mother. You can learn much from her, for she is oh so willing to teach you. Ask our beloved Mother to allow you to share a temporary root down from your heart, branching down through both legs, then out through the bottoms of your feet, and into the soil. These roots extend down through fallen leaves, branching down into the rich, moist earth, past rocks, winding down, seeking moisture and her quiet, peaceful, supportive strength and love. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel this deep connection with Mother Earth as she holds you, grounds you, supports you, and nourishes you. Feel her love and her deep, deep peace. You have a right to be here, she says. Never forget this. You have a right to be. Remember, you are not alone. I am always with you. I am also with your fellow two-legged, your sisters and brothers, supporting them and nourishing them as well. Remember, you are loved. You are not alone. You have a right to be here. Breathe in. Breathe out. Ask our beloved Earth Mother if you may carry this temporary root with you. Be open to receiving her loving compassion through your roots, up into the core of your being and into your heart. Offer gratitude for her support. Breathe in. Breathe out. Bring your awareness up through your roots, up around stones and moisture and rich soil, up, then above the ground through your feet, and back into your sacred heart. Feel that love and that peace within your heart. Thank your tree companion for her friendship, her strength, and her exchange with you. Bring your awareness back to your breathing, to your here and now. Return to the room you are in. Listen for any sound of your own breathing. For sounds within this room. Listen for any sounds outside the room. invite you to rub your hands together and place them over your heart to seal your connection with Earth Mother, as well as with your tree friend, who will always be here with you. You may gently open your eyes when you are ready. Welcome back. As I stated, this was an extended version of grounding. When you take this amount of time for an exercise like this, science has found that it can lower one's heart rate and blood pressure. It also gives the body a chance to lower its cortisol levels, which are the hormones that generate a fight or flight response, along with adrenaline. Meditations like this are also involved in a practice called earthing, where you're invited to take your shoes off and your socks and stand directly on Mother Earth and take time to be with her. You can also do grounding meditations like this in as little as 3 to 5 minutes, although I find the longer I take, the greater impact it has on me, and it helps me carry me through the rest of my day. It can also be done in as little as 30 to 60 seconds. Sometimes when I go about my day, if I'm finding myself stressed and I'm outside, I'll go up to a tree and just touch its trunk to connect with it, or I'll grab a branch or just gently hold a bush, and that can help me root. And I turn it back over to you, George.
Turn it over to Steve. He's going to grace us with another lovely piano recital.
I understand.
to you. So now comes to our point in our service we call dedication. First, from the book of Job. But ask the beasts, and they will teach you. The birds of heaven, and they will tell you. Or the bushes of the earth, they will teach you. And the fish of the sea will declare to you. Who among all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? So our discernment this year is making a home for the mystic heart. And as we've touched on a number of times, mystic, when we say mystic, what we mean is, again, to seek by contemplation and self-surrender to obtain unity with or absorption into the deity or the absolute. So today, we did our meditations and our contemplations. And today, we endeavored to see ourselves not as separate entities, but to see ourselves as part of the whole. We have seen ourselves as allowing ourselves to temporarily at least, experience that kind of self-surrender. All of which is leading us closer still to that unity with the Absolute. I'd like to do one more quick reading from Thich Nhat Hanh. Diligently, we will practice to see the ultimate and realize our true nature. We will practice to see that we have never been born and we will never die. We know that in the ultimate dimension, there is no birth and no death, no being, no non-being, no suffering, no happiness, no good, no evil. We will train ourselves to look deeply into the world of signs and appearances with the insight of interbeing in order to see that if there were no deaths, there could be no births. Without suffering, there could be no happiness. Without the mud, the lotus can't grow. We know that happiness and suffering, birth and death, lean on each other. These pairs of opposites are only concepts. When we transcend these dualistic views of reality, we are freed from all anxiety and fear. Living deeply in mindfulness, we touch upon our true nature of interdependence and interbeing. We know we are one with you and with the whole cosmos. The ultimate reality transcends all notions and concepts. It can't be described as personal or impersonal, material or spiritual, nor as the object or subject of the mind. Ultimate reality is always shining and shining on itself. We don't need to look for the ultimate outside of ourselves. We touch the ultimate, the very here and now. Dear Mother, thanks to the precious gift of awareness, we can recognize our own presence and realize our true place in you and in the cosmos. We humans are no longer naive in thinking ourselves as masters of the universe. We realize that the one contains the all, that the greatest is contained within the smallest, and that each particle of dust contains the whole cosmos. We are learning to love you and our Father more, and to love one another in light of this insight of interbeing. We know that this non-dualistic way of seeing things can help us to transcend all discrimination, fear, jealousy, hatred, and despair. It strikes me that, I guess it depends on what tradition you come from, but whether we think of ourselves as nothing or we consider ourselves as everything, eventually we come to the same point. I'd like to finish today with reading a poem from my good buddy and companion, 13th century theologian Meister Eckhart. I'd like to follow this with just a moment of silence and then we'll end. When I was the stream, when I was the forest, when I was the still field, when I was every hoof, foot, fin, and wing, when I was the sky itself. No one ever asked me, did I have a purpose? No one ever wondered, was there anything I might need? For there was nothing I could not love. It was when I left all that we once were that the agony began. The fear and questions came, and I wept, and I wept, and tears I had never known before. So I returned to the river, I returned to the mountains, and I asked for their hand in marriage again. I begged. I begged to wed every object and creature. And when they accepted, God was ever present in my arms. And did he not say, where have you been? For then I knew my soul, every soul, has always held him. Well, thank you all. Thank you for being here. And thank you to our friends out in cyberspace on Zoom. And sadly, we must say goodbye at this point as we move to that